Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3827 AN. Today's date is January 27th, 2026, and the title of the episode is Trump Traps Canada, State Set to Remove the USMCA, Economic Leverage. Hey, listen, if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you have already built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments come in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. Right now may be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmick, just clear answers and strategy built around our goals. Visit X22Gold.com and build your portfolio for the long term. That's X22Gold.com, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, they had their globalist system in place. They had NAFTA in place. They had everything they wanted, and they wanted to bring the entire world into the Great Reset, the Green New Scam. Trump came along and decided, you know what? We're going to reverse all of this. And he started going back to 2016 to 2020, when he started to put everything into place to actually bring down the entire globalist system. And with NAFTA, he didn't have the ability to remove it because Congress set it up where it couldn't be removed. So he had to restructure it. Remember, everything that Trump does, it doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. What he does is he sets it up for later on. Because once again, if you're going to bring down the biggest criminal illusionary economic system in the world, you need to set everything up to make sure there's a backstop. The backstop is an engine that is going to be able to support the United States of America. And Trump, he needed to make sure that all the trade agreements were in the favor of the United States. And during his time, during 2016 to 2020, he had to renegotiate NAFTA. He wanted to get rid of it completely, but he couldn't. So he restructured it into the USMCA, and we could see that he's now setting the stage, setting everything up for the USMCA to be removed. I think that was his plan from the very, very beginning. It wasn't put in a place to say, hey, now we've got something better. I think from the very, very beginning, he just wanted it removed completely, but he couldn't do it. Now he has the ability to do it. And by setting up the USMCA, what has he done? He's created economic leverage, and it's on his side. So when you look at Canada, when you look at the EU, and you look at what they're doing, you can see that they're a complete and utter mess. They don't know what to do, and everything that they're doing is completely against the U.S. economic trade interests. And while Canada and the EU are doing that, Mexico modified all their trade positions to come into alignment with the USA. Mexican President Sheinbaum announced that Mexico will no longer ship oil to Cuba. So we have Canada and the EU. They're taking every single position against the U.S. We have Mexico, which is kind of falling in line with the trade agreement, which is very, very interesting. And when Trump was asked about Prime Minister Mark Carney's creating a new trade agreement with China, Trump responded that he really didn't care that much. And he actually said, we're not going to allow this to happen. And he also said it was irrelevant to him. So think about this. Not going to let it happen. It's irrelevant. Why is he saying all these things? Because inside the USMCA, Trump has the power to veto any trade agreement between Mexico or Canada and a non-member nation. So he could veto this trade agreement anytime he wants. So why did he say it was irrelevant then? Well, first of all, it doesn't matter what Canada does, it doesn't matter what Mexico does. He can veto the trade agreement. Secondly, why doesn't he care so much? Because once again, what does he really want to do? He wants to get rid of the USMCA. And if he doesn't veto anything and he allows Canada to do what they do best, violate the trade agreement, does that give him ammunition to get rid of the trade agreement? Because he could say, hey, look, Canada made a deal with China. They're moving forward with it. It's in violation of the trade agreement. And now he has grounds to get rid of the trade agreement. So if Canada does violate the terms and spirit of the USMCA, it makes dispatch of the unlike trade agreement even easier. Canada is actually helping Trump remove the congressional justification they could use to block him. If Canada is violating the USMCA, Congress is kneecapped from interference. Isn't that interesting? So once again, Trump, going all the way back to 2016, when he came down the escalator, then he won the election, and throughout his presidency, when he was actually in the White House, I do believe that he was the commander-in-chief during the Biden/Obama era, he actually restructured the USMCA to give him that economic leverage later on. He actually has control over the countries and what they do, which is very, very interesting. So what do you think Trump's entire mission is? His entire mission is to actually shut down the deep state, shut down the globalists, shut down the central bank. Because every step of the way, every single piece is now coming into focus. And it's allowing him to do what needs to be done to basically restructure the entire system. And that's what we see happening right now. And what's very interesting is that we know that Doge is cutting the government and cutting everything, all the different programs, the different agencies, everything that they have. You could see Doge is in there, and it's in each agency. It's not centralized anymore. They decentralized it. And they're basically shutting down everything. Look, the Department of Education is shut down. Soon you're going to see Obamacare and the government controlling healthcare. That's going to be shut down. When you look at almost everything, you could see that they are now shutting down all of it. Why? Because anytime the government gets involved in services, all of a sudden those services skyrocket. Joseph Brown put this out and said, whoever is in charge of TV prices should be put in charge of healthcare, education, and houses prices. So when you look at this graph, you see that hospital services, it has increased 281.4%. College tuition and fees, 196.7%. College textbooks, 176.9%. Childcare, nursery school, 158.8%. Medicare services, 147%. Average hourly wages, 131%. Housing, 111%. Food and beverage, 105%. When you look at TVs, when you look at new cars and clothing, well, new cars have gone up 25%. Does the government have a little bit of say in it? Yeah, a little bit. Clothing, only 1.5%. And if you look at TVs, well, the government really has no say in TVs. They're not even, working or doing anything with TVs, and it's negative 98%. Computer software is negative 73%, and cell phone services is negative 44%. So when you start to look at this, everything that has been going up, it's because of the government. And that's what Geiger Capital says. It's very simple. Everything red has had massive government involvement. And when the government is involved, that is what you see happen. When you look at Obamacare, remember, his exchanges, they went bankrupt while he was still in office. 50% of them went bankrupt. The entire thing is a disaster. It does not benefit the people. It benefits the insurance company, and it allows the insurance companies to control the people. Well, it's a new year, and we've all seen the headlines about Ozempic and similar miracle weight loss shots. But a major 2025 analysis just revealed that people who stop taking these injections regain an average of 60% of their weight within just 1 year. Most of the gain is pure fat, and the muscle lost during the treatment stays gone, leaving you with a crash metabolism and a body that's basically older than when you started. This is why I'm taking something way better called GLP-1, and I'm obsessed with the results I'm seeing in the mirror. It doesn't use needles to override my system. It uses plant-based, clinically studied ingredients like Metabolade to help my body naturally boost its own hunger controlling signals. I get the same fullness and less cravings, but without the prescriptions, scary side effects, or metabolic rebound. This magical supplement supports my weight management goals while protecting my muscles, helping me keep the weight off for good. To celebrate the new year, it currently has a 50% off promotion for GLP-1 Elevate only at trimwithx22.com. Plus, every order for a limited time comes with a free 60-day satisfaction guarantee and free express shipping with subscriptions. Once again, the site is trimwithx22.com. Get yours now, or just click the link in the description. Because you have no choice in the matter. Remember, when Obamacare was first introduced, they had a tax penalty. They forced you into do something that you didn't want to do, almost like taking the COVID shot. Or maybe, using the Federal Reserve note. That's something that people, if they truly knew what was going on, they would reject it completely. And we could see that as Trump removes the government from all of this, what are you going to see? You're going to see prices come way, way down. Think about health insurance, for example. You're forced to choose one of the healthcare providers. But if the money comes to the person, and same thing with education, if the money comes to the person then decides what they would like. And they're going to shop for the best product. And what happens when you shop for the best products? I mean, if you look at health insurance or if you look at education, you create competition. If you have competition, what happens? Well, those products, those services, they get better and better and better. And basically, to get you to them, they lower prices. And once again, that's the way it should have been from the very, very beginning. And the reason why I think he's doing all of this right now, and every single part of the economy that the central bank deep state players have set up, he's now reversing it all because he's prepared and ready to go back to sound money. And when you look across the globe, what do you see? You see countries ramping up on Federal Reserve notes. Oh, no, you don't. You see countries ramping up on gold, on silver. Why would they ramp up on gold and silver if the Federal Reserve note is the money? That's what's worth something. Well, when you really look at it, it's worth absolutely nothing. You see, the central bankers, the deep state players, they all know this. They know that the paper money has lost its value. 98% of its value is completely and utterly gone. They know that gold and silver, that is real money. Bitcoin, real money. Because again, you just can't push a button and create it. It takes a lot of energy to mine gold, to get silver. It's also scarcity. Same thing with Bitcoin. There's scarcity. It takes a lot of energy to mine the crypto. What about the Federal Reserve? What about the Federal Reserve note? Does it take a lot of energy to create it? Absolutely not. They just push a button and it's poof, it's created. There's no energy, there's no mining, there's nothing. Is there scarcity? No, it's unlimited. And that is the big, big difference. And this is why you see countries stockpiling gold. And I do believe in this country, we have an enormous amount of gold. Probably a lot of it has not been mined yet. But the Capizzi letter on X put this out and said, China continues to stockpile gold behind the scenes. China acquired 10 tons of gold in November, approximately 11 times more than officially reported by the central bank. Similarly, in September, estimated purchases reached 15 tons or 10 times more than officially reported. China officially bought an additional 0.9 tons in December, pushing the total gold reserves to a record 2,300 tons. This also marked the 14th consecutive monthly purchase. In 2025, China total reported gold purchases reached 27 tons, assuming official purchases were 10% of what China is actually buying. This suggests China acquired 270 tons of physical gold in 2025. China is stockpiling gold like we are in a major crisis. Well, think about it. Why would any nation stockpile gold? Because they know the fiat currency is worth absolutely nothing. And when you're transitioning or there's a great reset going to happen, what do? You ramp up on gold. If you see the president of the United States destroying the globalist system, destroying the central bank system, destroying the paper money, destroying the central bank digital currency, what do? Do you say, hey, let's ramp up our holdings of Federal Reserve notes? No, you get gold. You trade in those pieces of paper and you get as much gold and silver as possible, or cryptocurrency. And that's what we see happening right now. I mean, think about where gold and silver has gone. Yes, they come down a little bit, but again, we always know that this is going to happen. We always know that the deep state players, the central bankers, they don't want gold, silver, Bitcoin, and the rest to go up. They always try to suppress it. Why? Because they don't want people to realize what's really going on. And as Trump continually dismantles the central bank, the deep state system, the globalist system, you're going to see these currencies continually rise because that's an indicator of what the fiat currency is actually worth. And now people are starting to see this. And Trump is keeping all the different nations in line. And if they don't agree to what he wants, he's just going to continually raise tariffs. Remember, he has all the leverage. He put this out on Truth. He said the following: "Our trade deals are very important to America. In each of these deals, we have acted swiftly to reduce our tariffs in line with the transaction agreed to. We, of course, expect our trading partners to do the same. South Korea's legislator is not living up to the deal with the United States. President Lee and I reached a great deal for both countries on July 30th, 2025, and we reaffirmed these terms while I was in Korea on October 29th, 2025. Why hasn't the Korean legislator approved it? Because the Korean legislature hasn't enacted our historic trade agreement, which is their prerogative. I am hereby increasing South Korean tariffs on autos, lumber, pharma, and all other reciprocal tariffs from 15 to 25%. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Now, once again, Trump has the leverage. We are the consumer of South Korea with all these, with the autos and lumbers and things like that. So can we get automobiles from other places? Of course we can. Can we get lumber from other places? Of course we can. Can we get it from within this country, the United States? Absolutely. Pharmaceuticals are moving back to this country. But meanwhile, can we get pharmaceuticals from another country? Absolutely. So who has the leverage? We, the people, do. And I do believe every step of the way what Trump is doing right now is he is preparing this country to go back to the Constitution, to go back to sound money. And that is what you're witnessing right now. Every step of the way, he's put certain things into place. Some things couldn't be done right away, and he had to restructure it and wait until the time came. Some things could be due right away, like the tariffs on all these countries, the trade deals on all these countries, the investment into this country. All of that could have been done, can be done right now. Actually, he has to create the tariff, the gold system, the energy sales system, the technology system first before he can wean us off the income tax. But he's already started weaning us off the income tax by saying no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. So he's already moving in that direction. And while other things come into place and the pieces are put together, once he has it where he wants it, that's when he'll make the next move on the central bank. Remember, this is slow moves on the central bank, but actually when people look back in time, it's going to look like the moves are incredibly fast, because people can look back in time and go, Trump was able to accomplish this in 12 years. And if people don't think that's fast, that is very, very fast, because think about it. The central bank system, to establish what they have today, it took from 1913 to today. Trump is going to reverse everything that they have done in 12 to 16 years tops. And you can see it's already now coming together. And every day that passes, you're going to see the strength of this country, the strength of the people, the economic strength of the people. It's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, which is going to allow us to fight against the central bank system. Soon, the central bank system will not have the power to do anything to the people. Because think about it. If the people are no longer paying taxes, we're no longer borrowing currency from the central bank, and we're paying back the central bank system, what power do they actually have? Well, they don't really have power, and they get weaker and weaker and weaker because their hold on the people becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And I do believe this is exactly what Trump is going to continue to do down the line until the central bank ceases to exist the way we know it. And once that occurs, the people are going to take over the entire economic system. And that is what we see happening right now. And you can see that the EU, Canada, the central bankers, they can try to go up against Trump, but you can see at every turn, they lose. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.